made a pretty huge statement regarding voting for Biden in case he wins the general election. Before we go into the video, though, I do want to remind everybody, if you want to make sure that you stay subscribed to the channel and make sure that notification bell keeps sending you notifications, like the video, comment on the video, and that will give you the best opportunity to make sure that you remain subscribed and continue to get notifications and updates from the channel. Now, I do want to preface this, right, before I go into the video. But in all fairness to Cenk, he did say that voting for progressives was over Biden was a no-brainer as well. But he did say voting for Trump is a no-brainer. Don't take my word for it. Here's the clip.
If we play that out even a little bit further, I think there's a good chance Biden ends up being the nominee. Democrats have a very poor track record in terms of the nominees that they pick. And I think there is a chance that he then goes on to beat Trump, although I agree with you. I don't think he's the strongest choice if you're just looking at electability. But let's say that he wins the White House. What do you think that administration looks like, and what do you think the consequences are?
I think the consequences, honestly, are terrible. Don't get me wrong. If it's Biden versus Trump in the general election, that's the biggest no-brainer of my life. I will definitely vote for Biden. And anyone who doesn't, I think, is mental. Not because Biden's great, as I'm about to explain, but because Trump is an absolute disaster. He doesn't believe in our form of government. If you give him 4 more years, this democracy might not even survive. And I don't think that's hyperbole. I think he's going to start locking up his political opponents. He said that over and over again. And when he says things like that, he usually, unfortunately, delivers on his promises of being a tyrant and a demagogue. So now, in terms of if Biden wins, though, I know exactly where to get. Nothing. He's not going to propose anything bold. He says it. I mean, it's not me saying it. It's him saying it. He's not going to go for Medicare for all. He's not going to go for Green New Deal. He's not going to get money out of politics. He might nominally be for $15 minimum wage. I mean, by God, that is the bare minimum. And that's what corporate Democrats do. They do the bare minimum, and then they reach across the aisle, and they do a bipartisan agreement with Mitch McConnell, which usually helps the incredibly rich and powerful who are the donors of both Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell.
Cenk. At this point, I don't know if he's doing this on purpose. I don't know if he's doing it on accident. I don't know if it's willful ignorance. Like, I'm okay. First of all, he says that it's a no-brainer to vote for Biden in the general, right? And it sounds like he's giving some pretty good reasons. It sounds like it. But at the end of the day, that's the problem with a lot of these neoliberal lights who don't even realize they're neoliberal lights. And I don't even know if it's necessarily their fault at this point because, well, at the end of the day, true progressivism, that as we know it currently, kind of happened out of nowhere. And so they believe that they can manipulate what we've always known to be progressivism. But progressivism is more than voting. It is looking at the entire picture and figuring out what the best way to move forward is. Progress. Understanding that stagnation is the worst enemy of progress, not just regression, right? Because with regression, people a lot of the times feel the need to fight. There was a lot of arguments that were made for Trump from different people. They said, well, at least with Trump, now people want to be activists again. Now people are paying attention. That would not have happened with Hillary Clinton. I'm sure you've all have seen the sign that says if Hillary was president, we'd be at brunch right now. And that's true. That's exactly where they would be at. They wouldn't be in the streets bringing awareness to different issues, whether it be abortion, whether it be equity for marriage, whether it be foreign policy, whatever. But they're correct because we saw it happen under the Obama administration for 8 years. So, like I said, I don't know if he realizes how neoliberal light that sounds, but we're going to try to break it down and help Cenk understand why maybe it shouldn't be a no-brainer. Maybe this is one of those times you should be applying logic and reasoning, okay? So, he said that not only did he say this would be a no-brainer, he said it would be the biggest no-brainer in his life. And then he said also, which is even a little more insulting, which Cenk tends to do when he doesn't have a legitimate argument and he knows he's going to get pushback. He says anyone who doesn't vote for Biden is mental. Even though he subsequently says, of course, the consequences of putting Biden in the presidency are terrible, which contradicts himself, but whatever. So one of the excuses that he uses is that Trump would lock up his political opponents. That's a large claim. Basically, he's saying that we're like a banana republic where if you lose an election or if you win an election, people who piss you off, you lock up. I want to be very clear about something. I don't like Trump. I do not like the man. I don't like his administration, nor do I like the GOP. But that is a bold claim. That is a very bold claim. And if there was any truth to that claim, Hillary Clinton would already be in jail. Can we all be honest with each other about that? If there's any truth to that claim, Hillary Clinton would already be in jail. Andrew McCabe would not have just been fired. He would have been in jail. Same thing with James Comey. Same thing with Lisa Page. Same thing with Peter Strzok. Why do I say that? Because all of them basically got caught trying to undermine. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Obama. Okay? I don't care who it is in the White House. They got caught trying to undermine the office of the United States of America for a political agenda on behalf of another candidate. They should be in jail. They should be in jail. They undermine our democracy. That's not unique to them. But if Trump was that bad, because that is an inflammatory claim, which is what I hate about some of the people on the left. There's so many legitimate ways to call out Trump. That's not one of them. One of the biggest critiques of Trump to this day is the fact that Hillary isn't in jail, Comey isn't in jail, McCabe isn't in jail, even though McCabe got fired, Strzok, Page, the list, Loretta Lynch even, for getting involved in that investigation when she should not have. That's one of the biggest critiques about him, is that he has not been hard enough on people who have undermined the office of the presidency. But even more so, these are his political opponents. So what, he's going to start doing it the next election? If he wanted to, it would actually be more beneficial for him to lock these people up at this very moment. Because his people would believe in him further, saying, okay, enemies of the country, quote unquote, you're going to hold accountable. But another political opponent would be Assange. Would not necessarily be a political opponent of Trump, but we would be a political opponent of Biden and the administration that Biden would put in place, which would probably include the likes of people like Pompeo, Mattis, and the like. So are we really going to try and convince ourselves that Assange would be in a better situation directly under Biden? That Manning would be in a better situation? That Snowden would be in a better situation under Biden? No. His administration would be almost exactly the same. Maybe a different attorney general. That's about it. You have to remember who we're talking about here, people. This man has basically been a Republican. Biden has. Not even basically. He's voted more in his Senate years. He's voted with the Republicans more than he's voted with the Democrats. He's voted with Republicans and has been lockstep with the Republican message more than Trump has. That's saying something. So do we really believe that quote unquote political opponents would be somehow better under Biden? Or in a better situation under Biden? No. So once again, I wouldn't call that a no-brainer. But let's take a deeper look. Let's talk about domestic issues that affect people every single day. Let's talk about Medicare for all. Trump basically has said on numerous occasions if Medicare for all got passed in the House and the Senate, he would pass it. On one occasion, even said, why don't we just scrap everything and just do Medicare for all? And his advisors stepped in. It was like, no, we can't do that, okay? What does Biden say? Biden basically was like, no, hell no, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. Probably has something to do with all that pharmaceutical money Biden takes. We don't even have a guarantee that if the House passed Medicare for all and if the Senate passes Medicare for all, that Biden would sign it in that form. Why would we? Biden has had a habit of voting against what Democrats push. But even if we wanted Medicare for all, right, as people, Biden does not have the ability to galvanize. It's already been historically proven. 2 losses already in the primary. As we saw with Hillary Clinton, the records catch up to you. People see who you are. And then nobody's really going to be able to, I mean, what's the argument going to be for Biden? I'm not Trump. But are you really not Trump though? Because it seems like you're very similar and in some ways you could be worse. Nah, I'm not Trump. And that argument didn't work for Hillary, who was, you know, I think she was worse than Trump based off the facts. But like historically, Biden has echoed some of the same sentiments that Trump has echoed, but usually Trump does it to galvanize his base. Biden would believed in this stuff. The Hyde Amendment, voting against women's rights constantly, voting against equal or advocating against marriage equality regularly. But even more so, do you really think that we would somehow be better off under Biden? Do you understand that healthcare would be actually set back under Biden? This man, like the other day, he promised he's going to cure cancer. You know what Biden did? Biden actually made cancer medication, personally, went out of his way to do this. He made cancer medication more expensive in America. But not only America, Colombia, India, and other countries as well. So not only would he be disastrous to our healthcare system, like it would be a bigger blunder than what it is right now. He would be a problem. He's been a problem and would be a problem for countries all over the world. He would basically bully our allies because that's the tactics. Those are the tactics that he used as vice president. As vice president, he bullied our allies into basically settling for the prices that our corporations set on medication, like cancer medication. That doesn't seem like much of a no-brainer. That's the one thing that we can say under Trump. It's been a shit show when it comes to healthcare, but it's actually, at least people have a choice as to whether or not they want healthcare at this point because of how messed up the system is. Under Trump, that was never. Under Obama, that wasn't the case. You were going to get penalized one way or the other to the point where people say, you know what, screw it. I just won't have healthcare. I'll pay the penalty because it's actually cheaper for me to do that and pay for my own private healthcare on site rather than getting insurance. So Biden would reintroduce the mandate, which was horrible. We already know where he lies when it comes to protecting the pharmaceutical industry, big pharma. So he would be disastrous for the medical industry as well. And for any chance. Because once again, he can't galvanize his base. If you can't galvanize your base, you can't win back the House. You can't win back the Senate. So Medicare for all would in all likelihood never even get introduced or put on his desk. It would get introduced but not put on his desk. And even if it got put on his desk once again, there would be no guarantee whatsoever that he would sign it in the form that it would need to be in. Because remember, Obama, he had one idea, Congress took it a whole different direction, and he signed it anyway. Why? Big pharma. That big pharma money that Joe Biden takes. So Cenk also says that he wouldn't do much of anything. And he's like saying that as at least is better than regression. I hate that when people say that. I do. It is privilege incarnate. Because when you say he wouldn't do anything, we know where he stands on Medicare for, and he goes off to list a bunch of domestic issues, right? That once again implies that foreign policy isn't important, that the lives lost overseas, they don't mean anything. They can wait. They'll be all right under Biden. Huh? What do you mean he wouldn't do anything? Do you see, this is the thing that people forget. Do you understand that one of the reasons that the Democrats assigned Biden to Obama, other than his appeal to the white Midwestern quote unquote base that would ultimately help Obama beat John McCain in 2008, 2009? That was one of the reasons, but the other reason was because of his foreign policy. Because Obama was on foreign. He was weird. He did a lot of bad things, but it could have been worse, right? It could have been much worse. Under Biden, it would almost guaranteed be much worse. Okay? Now, why would I say something like that? As of May 1st, according to Mint Press News, Biden said that the attempt to overthrow Maduro by Bolton, Pompeo, and Trump was just, restoring democracy back to Latin America. Hold on. But I thought that you said he's no-brainer against Trump, but he's literally echoing the same sentiments as the Trump administration. There are a lot of people that live in Venezuela and in South America in general. And I'm sure that overthrowing their country or their government, wouldn't really count as nothing to them. I think that would be a big deal, considering, was it Pompeo? Yeah, it was Pompeo who came out, got caught on record, on the recording, saying, we have absolutely no idea who the opposition actually is in Venezuela. There would be 40 people lined up to replace Maduro the moment that we overthrow him. In other words, Guaido was never the actual opposition leader. He ain't leading shit. But once again, this just shows that Biden is more than willing to echo the sentiments of the corrupt intelligence agencies, of Lockheed Martin, of the Koch brothers, all of the people who have vested interests in profiting off of regime change, military or otherwise. I wouldn't call that nothing. Seems to be the opposite of nothing, Cenk. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. But I'm sure there's some other examples, like maybe his friendship with Netanyahu. His friendship with Netanyahu spans over the course of decades, bro. Decades. It actually rivals his, because Netanyahu, he loves him some Trump. He does. He and Netanyahu are like best bros. They best buddies. But problem with that, with putting Biden in and just voting for him, is that his love affair with Netanyahu is actually worse. It's worse. And by worse, I mean like they're closer. Now, in 2010, Biden landed in Israel. This is shortly after Obama won, maybe a year after Obama won. And to greet Netanyahu. You know the first thing Netanyahu told Biden? Caught him completely off guard. Said it on camera. Hey, we're about to start expanding the settlements. What you gonna do about it? Nothing. And guess what Biden did? Biden did not push back. As you already should know at this point, because the settlements have been expanded beyond belief. Probably more in the last 10 years than in the entirety of Israel's existence. A lot of that was allowed because of Biden, because Biden was constantly basically caping for Netanyahu. Biden, remember when Netanyahu just walked up into Congress and just like, y'all better sit down and listen to me? Y'all remember that? Obama was pissed. Biden, however, clearly did not care, because just a month after that incident, He spoke at an Israeli Independence Day event at the request of Netanyahu. Yeah, that's not a good sign at all. At all. Oh, but it gets even better. In 2016, Netanyahu thanked Biden during a visit to Israel, saying, I want to thank you for our personal friendship over the last 30 years. We've known each other a long time, and we've gone through many trials and tribulations. And we have an enduring bond that represents the enduring bond between our people. He actually went out of his way to call Biden family. Question real quick. Is that you think that relationship with Netanyahu might be a tiny, teensy bit problematic for the Palestinian people who are literally getting shot, dead, for having rocks in their hands by snipers at the behest of Netanyahu, having their schools bombed, their hospitals bombed, their land taken regularly? Not only would Biden not do anything, but it is highly likely, based off of the relationship with Netanyahu, like Trump, he would assist in that effort to wipe out the Palestinian people, to bastardize them, and continue the genocide that has been ongoing for, what, 70, 80 years now? Is that nothing? That's a no-brainer? He wouldn't do anything? He wouldn't do much of anything. Yeah, he would do something. But once again, because you can't see those people, Cenk, there are a few others who have said the same thing. You can't see those people, and therefore, they don't matter to you. You have your millions. Healthcare doesn't matter to you. You'll be fine. You have your millions. You live in the United States, in LA. The hell you care about Palestinian people for? You have your millions. Venezuelans don't mean a damn thing to you. Syria doesn't mean a damn thing to you. Why do you, nothing? Listen, some people are probably asking at this point, what do you think is a better option? What should he have said? Well, when they asked, if Biden is acceptable, he could have honestly said, and this would have been the correct response, and I would love to hear your opinion about this. No, he isn't. He isn't acceptable at all. And maybe if people vote for him, I won't shame them for it. However, if Biden is selected, because that's exactly what it would be, if he is selected, the numbers don't match up to that selection. It is likely that superdelegates would probably have been invoked some way, form, or fashion. That election rigging would have taken place as we've known it to happen in the Democratic primary. We see the amount of volunteers and people who show up for Bernie's events. I imagine Tulsi Gabbard would show huge increases as well. We've seen historically that Biden is unpopular the more he talks. He grows more unpopular the more he speaks. So if they select Biden, it is time that we move on to the stage of accountability. We cannot keep rewarding bad behavior and then saying, we'll get them next time. We have to address election rigging. We have to galvanize activists. We can even organize locally. We need to organize locally, get municipal progressive candidates into office, city council members, mayors, commissioners, state representatives, Senate representatives, governors. And we fight back against corruption by, what is the term called? Hunkering down or bunkering down or whatever. In your area, you educate the people around you. You get involved you get initiatives passed at your state, ballot initiatives passed, and you give them hell by organizing and holding people accountable and never letting them forget. That is the correct answer. Not, we got screwed this time. I'm sure it'll be different than the next time will be different than the last 4 or 5 times we gotten screwed. Whether it be McGovern, Henry Wallace, Bernie Sanders in 2016, likely Bernie Sanders in 2019. They're already trying to screw over Tulsi Gabbard. If they screw over Bernie now, quantitatively, at this very moment, Bernie's like running off with it. I don't know how many times I said, over 1 million volunteers. Way more money than the entire Democratic Party combined from individual donations, over 1 million of those. Yeah, I think he's actually averaging less per donation this time, which is even more, it's amazing to see. His crowd turnouts have seemingly increased. His presence in the media has even increased. So, if he loses to a centrist, it's because the Democrats willed it to be so. And at that point, we cannot reward good behavior by propping up the very candidate that they picked because they knew he would be regressive. And I really wish that Cenk and TYT and others that consider themselves to be progressive would realize that progress does not only come through victories defined by the establishment. Progress comes from activism, organizing, getting in the trenches, fighting the ugly battles, election integrity, right? You all know I was one of the trifecta, one piece of the trifecta that created the DNC fraud lawsuit. Okay? Tim Canova started Progress for All after he was cheated, right? Pursued legal ramifications. We learned a lot from Tim Canova. He didn't just stop because he did not win a victory defined by the establishment. I've seen people getting really engaged in climate change activism. Lawyers, taking their expensive time in pursuing other forms of election justice. There are other ways to win. Basically, selling your soul and sacrificing your integrity is not put in that category, no matter if it's an R or a D who wins the general election. I'd love to know what your thoughts are about this. Like the video, leave a comment below, and always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Thanks for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Roku TV, and on JustNForm.com. Also, you can make sure that you're subscribed to the channel by going to the subscribe button, pressing it, and hitting that notification bell to get all of our notifications. And of course, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon by supporting the show by donating as little as $1. You can click on the link in the description below for that. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.